What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat Stand-Up here on this chilly Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. As always, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Dallas, Texas. Snowpocalypse has hit us. We have a massive amount accumulation here, about maybe a quarter of an inch. So we hope everybody stay safe. The roads are unbelievably horrible. I wouldn't even step a foot outside. I get when people say snowstorms are bad here, Stu. It's just unbelievable. The city is shut down. I'm surprised I even have electricity. This, if you can't tell, this is a joke. The fact that everything is shut down is absolutely unbelievable. But have no fear. The show must go on. I'm always joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, EnergyNewsBeat.com, Stuart Turley. My man, how are you doing today? You're up in Bear Country.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day up here in Bear Country, and there's no way I'm getting out of here. It's all iced up.
You actually have ice here. We have a quarter inch of snow, and the city is thrown into chaos. So I actually went around and drove around today because it was nice. Nobody was on the roads. I was able to get to work even quicker.
Well, you know what's more dangerous than Putin?
Someone in Dallas who doesn't know how to drive. They're about as equal. We have a great show for everybody lined up today. Stu's got some absolutely bangers of articles. We're going to start with BP West riff with Russia to hit oil and gas demand. That's their new long-term energy outlook forecast by BP. So we'll take that extremely seriously. Report Duke Energy's New York City or North Carolina coal plants more expensive to run than building new solar farms. We're going to have to investigate. Next, Biden's blood battery energy agreement incentivizes forced labor in African mines. The title is as bad as the article itself. Next, we have Here's How Prosperity Ends. Global bubbles are popping. Finally, the shaming images that show where our iPhones, laptops, and Tesla cars really come from. The truth about Congolese mines where kids are paid $2 a day to dig for cobalt. We've been on this for a while. It's as sad as the title sounds. Stu will kick it over to me. We'll cover natural gas prices, which actually did spike up a little bit today to 270. Oil currently trading at 70.03. We have the weekly EIA numbers that came out as we record this at about 4:45 the day before. And then also our friends over at Double Eagles get a little bit of a extra capital commitment from some private equity, and the establish a reserve-based loan. Will cover what all that means and a bag of chips, guys. But first, check us out online, world's greatest website, www.energynews.com. Dashboard.energynewsbeat.com. Click the link below. All of the articles that we just referenced and will reference come from our website, which again is the world's greatest. Enough of the pleasantries, though, Stu. They know to go visit us. They know to go do that. They know to go to visit us 1,000 times. They know to be writing macros in which just ping our website every 5 seconds. So if you're not doing that, please hit us one up. But enough of that, Stu. Where do you want to begin?
Okay, hey, let's roll around the corner here. Nothing up my sleeve. Watch me pull a story out of my hat. BP West riff with Russia to hit oil gas demand. I thought that was kind of interesting. We talked about this yesterday on the podcast, but history has taught us that threats to energy security have large and persistent impacts on the structure of global energy, said BP chief economist Spencer Dale. Finally, a name I can speak. So when you sit back and go, here's another one, the increased importance placed on energy sector as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war leads over to a time shift away from imported fossil fuels toward locally produced non-fossil fuels, accelerating the energy transition. I thought that was interesting, but locally produced means, what is Germany? They're cutting all their firewood. So I'm not sure that I agree with that statement. What we're seeing based off of this type of argument is that there is a move for everybody to triple down on stupid and print more money and move to faster to renewables and it's just going to exacerbate the whole system. So, and everything else. Now it does come down, it does come down here a little bit later in the article, and you're going to love this. Rosier outlook for gas. Woo! Michael's cheering. Yay!
I was literally going to point that out. The sleight of hand that goes on that they're doing. So remember, 5 years ago, or let's even go 2 years ago, we were all going to die from fossil fuels. Literally, the burning of fossil fuels is killing the children. That was the narrative. And now all of a sudden, natural gas will always be in the energy future. And as they see it, I love how they started out. By contrast, BP sees potential for significant and persistent growth in gas demand under a continuation of current policies. You don't say.
Wow.
You don't say. The sleight of hand that they're doing, where they're realizing where they messed up on natural gas and they're trying to sneak it in as green. I'm down. I'll let them sneak it in, but I'm going to make fun of them all the way to the bank.
I love that, Michael. And you know what was funny is you and I talked about this since COP26. And
you were one of the first people on this. I very rarely like to give you credit, but you were on this from COP26. I will say that.
And the language that came out of it, Michael, went to the infrastructure bill, and then it went to France, and then it went to the EU. And so the language has been there and was stealth. We even use the word stealth.
Ooh, stealth.
Ooh, stealthy. Okay, let's go to the next one. Duke Energy. This one's kind of interesting. I love me some Duke. Always love Duke, but this one, I gotta get my crayon out, Michael. This one I'm not too sure of. A report. Duke Energy North Carolina coal plants are more expensive to run than building new solar farms. This one makes my crayon just really like want to get out there and start chewing on it. Duke Energy spends twice as much money fueling and upkeeping its 6 North Carolina coal plants costs based on ratepayers if it replaced them with brand new solar farms, a report issued. I kind of looked at that report and, it's got some false crayon markings on it. So I really think it'd be nice if people would use in just like we talked about in the other story, Michael, use realistic stories. There's a realistic numbers. There's a falsehood about everybody in the renewable camp putting out wrong numbers and then expecting everybody to believe it. So in the link in the article on energynewsbeat.com, there is the link in there that says a report. So when you go look at that link, the total crossover 3.0, and here it is. So
I'm looking at it right now. I mean, the people who wrote this article, the Energy Innovation Policy and Technology LLC, is just a shill for the climate industry. It's just an absolute shill. Let me read you a little bit about us. The people who did this, people who are telling you that coal is more expensive than solar. The Energy Innovation and Policy and Technology LLC is nonpartisan. When you say you're nonpartisan, that screams partisanship. Just FYI, you're ever out there writing a mission statement and you claim you're not something, that screams you are something. You're going out of your way to tell me you're not partisan. You're probably partisan. That's beside the point. They're a nonpartisan energy and climate policy think tank. We provide customized research, which means we provide specific outcomes based upon our inputs or based upon our prior hypotheses. So we provide customized research and policy analysis to decision makers and thought leaders to support policy design that reduces emissions at a speed and scale required for a safe climate future, because we are all going to die. So that's who's telling us coal's bad. It's the people who are on a mission, who are thought leaders and are attempting to create policies that reduce emissions at this speed. I mean, it's just word garbage. I want to puke reading this.
Well, it's a word salad, and here's where, you've heard me talk about my interview with Don Deers.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
John Deere's great interview right here. And the kind of our numbers that they're leaving off are storage, upgrades to the grid. They're leaving all these things out of that pricing, and they're putting a straight comparison of megawatt output versus megawatt output. That's not true. And let's just use the wind turbines as an example. Wind turbines rated at 2.5 megawatts to achieve the net zero carbon by 2050 is 995,141 wind turbines the U.S. needs. Okay, there's 28 years, so the average number is going to be 35,000 average that we're going to need. In order to make that number, there's 5,680 has been the largest number of windmills that we have put in. That does not even include the cost for upgrades to the grid. And that goes back to what we've talked about in the past, the additional grid and things in there. So false numbers. If let anybody from this report, I want to offer to them, come on my podcast. Let's talk. I want to hear how you did this and go through this. So I'm going to tag them in this podcast because I want to know who they are.
Yeah, let's see who wrote this. The coal crossover. Who wrote this? They got to have the person who wrote this.
Yeah,
download the one pager. Let's see what the one pager has. Who wrote this? Let's see. They don't even have they don't even have who they have all the other on the other ones. They've got who the resources. Here we go. Let's take a look. Coal 3.0. Eric Gibbon, Michelle Solomon, Michael Boyle. Let's find them on our team. Let's see who the background of these people are. Let's see if they have any business discussing coal. Let's see. Eric, where are you, my friend? Eric Gomet, senior fellow. Oh, this dude looks awesome. Let's see. He holds a BS and an MS in Stanford in math and physics. Okay, so he's definitely smarter than me.
Right.
He's a 15-year career researching quantum gravity and high energy physics. Okay, so here's my thing. We've got a mathematician and a physicist trying to talk about coal. Maybe that's not a bad thing, but I mean, he's smart. Don't get me wrong.
But
all these are Stanford people. This is literally a Stanford. Everyone, Stanford. I'm tired of Stanford. Here we go. Here's somebody else. Washington University.
Okay, let me say this. Stanford is using, I believe, coal. I have to go check, but they were part of the Reuters article where they were using non-renewable energy as a university on their campus. I'm going to go fact check that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'd be interested just because I don't necessarily. Yeah, I got a lot of questions on this, but apparently, according to the Energy Innovation and Policy and Technology LLC, coal is more expensive than solar. So,
all right, let's go to and again, thank you for that. But I'm going to reach out to them after this show and see if we can get them on a podcast. I'd love to have them on there. And then, okay, let's go to the next one.
I want to talk about fission with them. Screw coal. Let's talk fission.
Oh, absolutely. I want to know if they even like fusion. Anyway,
probably not. They're probably anti-nuclear. I could probably throw that. They're probably anti-nuclear.
Yeah, I should have stopped by when I was out there doing some work, doing some business analyzation out there. All right. Biden's blood for battery energy agreement incentivized forced labor in African mines. This is about as despicable as I've ever heard from the Biden administration. It is absolutely despicable. In the link on energynewsbeat.com, a copy of the MOU, Memo of Understanding, is in there. And it is basically, the Congo has corruption like you wouldn't believe. People allege there's corruption in our political system. They allege there's corruption in Ukraine. There is real corruption in the Congo. So here we are, we're signing a memo of understanding, a MOU, and we're going to sign it with some of the most corrupt people in the world, allowing them to charge whatever they want on this thing and even enslave people more. This is like the alleged, and I'm using the word alleged because I haven't seen the documents, of Hunter 2.0. You know, when you sit back and take a look, 10% for the big guy, this has the potential of being there. I'm just throwing that out there. It's an alley. I mean, these are all allegations. They're not proven, but this one makes me mad. And here's why. The next article coming around is titled "Shaming in Images That Show Really Where Our iPhones, Laptops, Tesla cars really come from. The truth about the Congolese mines where kids are paid $2 a day for cobalt." This is a follow-on story, and it is despicable. For our podcast listeners, look at that herd. You know, go to the website and take a look, Michael, at that herd. You're taking a look at that. Isn't that disgusting? I mean, they're taking advantage of slave labor. Guess how those people are taking care of slave labor? Those people are getting money from around the world. The government is not passing on aid to the people. They're pocketing it. Anyway, this one got me worked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and this is such a dichotomy of an issue, because on one hand it's extremely complex, because it's a cobalt specifically is a mineral we rely on that is literally, I mean, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, I've got probably eight things in my office here that have cobalt in them. Stu's got 4 monitors. I've seen your setup, Stu. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 on your end. So, I mean, it's something that is so integrated with our lives, and we couldn't really operate in the manner in which we do without this mineral. So so on one hand, it's complicated because we need this issue. We need this. It's complicated with the fact that it's only in certain areas. It's complicated by the fact that there's a huge long history in the Congo of other resources being exploited. The fact that they used to be
that's exactly right. And they're exploiting it.
Well, okay. So it's complicated on one issue, but then another also the issue, it's very simple. Hey, these people are modern day slaves. You know, they're not technically slaves. They're not property of anybody, but they're in an environment in which $1 to $2 a day keeps them just breathing enough and just living enough so they can show up back to the mine and working. So it's this sick cycle. And on one hand, on the easy hand, you say, well, just cut it out, pay them more and all the stuff. Okay.
That's
on the other hand, the issue is we have, as the United States, we have no authority to do that. There are no U.S. mining companies operating in Congo right now. So the reason why this memorandum of understanding, in my opinion, is good is because it'll establish a U.S. mining presence there. And trust me, there's going to be corruption when it comes to the U.S. mine or whatever U.S. mine goes into go. But I promise you there's not going to be child labor. And, you know, whether you like it or not, the current, you know, what moves wheels around the world is a bribe. We have a very weird system in the United States where you just do things at face value for people, and you don't commit for, you don't bribe people. It's weird. Around the world, they do it all the time. It's very open. You just get a kicker here, kicker here. I mean, they talk about that all over the world. It's not just exclusive to Africa. So I think the idea of the U.S. moving in and establishing a mining presence is ultimately good because it'll raise the level of standards, first for the working people We'll deal with the corruption later. We're gonna have to deal with the corruption and the and all of the stuff that goes around with that. We got to fix the forced labor, which is happening right now, and that's done, in my opinion, by the United States getting more involved. What do we talk about all the time, Stu? We have all of these people doing oil and gas projects around the world. We can't do anything here when in the United States we understand how to cleanly produce the cleanest natural gas and crude oil. What's the thing? That same philosophy, in my opinion, you can apply over in Congo. If we establish a mine, if a U.S. company establishes a mine, they will not be paying them $2 a day. Trust me. They're not going to be paying them $40 an hour. Trust me. But, or $2 a day, not an hour, a day. They'll probably be getting a couple bucks an hour. So that's why I'm going to differ a little bit with you. I do think what's going on there is a humanitarian crisis, but any steps that we can do to establish a U.S. mining presence in the Congo, in my opinion, step forward.
Okay. I agree with you 300%. 300% on how that happens. However, there's enough corruption to go around. And I don't know that we would be able to do that. Where I believe the right way to do this is to get low cost power to all of the people of Africa through natural gas. And I believe that that would be the way to do it. And then that would help fund all the other stuff. So there's a bunch of political stuff going on, and poor old Africa has been taken advantage of for way too long. But great point, Michael. I hadn't thought of that. All right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to widen your views, Stu. Not everything's a conspiracy. But it's funner if it was. Trust me, it would be funner if it was.
I didn't, everything was alleged. I just said, what if, right?
What's this last one?
Which one was that?
I think we've got, last article I'm seeing is, here's how prosperity ends. Global bubbles are popping.
Well, we can cover that one a little bit more tomorrow or the next day. That really kind of hits into where I'm seeing some things going around the world. Bubbles are starting to pop. And I think this one has some good information, but I don't think it has what I need to follow up with you and go through this. There are breaks in the economies around the world. So let's go into that tomorrow, and I'll try to have some more info for you, unless you got an idea.
No, I mean, we can cover markets right now.
All right. It's off to you, dude.
Looking at the way the markets are lining up right now, S&P 500's up actually about 1.5 percentage points. NASDAQ up 1.5 percentage points. Mainly it's just a run before, as you listen to this, the Fed will have announced what most likely will be a 25 basis points increase, but we wait to see again as we record this the night before. Crude oil actually bottomed out at about 76.50, currently now trading 70.03. So a good sign on that front. The API on Tuesday did drop their crude oil storage estimate. And let me read you. I mean, the API is swung and missed. Forecasted 1 million barrel draw. They actually are expecting a 6.3 million barrel build. So a lot of crude oil to go around, a lot of natural gas to go around. It's part of the reason why we're in this $2, we're below a 3 handle, is due to all of this excess supply that's happening right now. They can't go anywhere. We expect on Thursday to see a pretty wide range of about 67 BCF of draw to anywhere to about 150, but normally we see about a 280 draw this time of year. So there is ample natural gas supply. Everybody is completely shifted bearish. Trust me, we've got, people are freaking out right now. There's a lot of natural gas producers. They're EQT and Comstock. They're having meetings about what's going on. I mean, they're a little bit different. Gas is a lower cost to produce on a going basis. Now, sometimes it can cost a little bit more to drill. But I think the way you look at the landscape, things look pretty bad for natural gas. I mean, there's a little bit of a cold spurt coming in, but then the warm should come back in. I think, the tides have turned very bearish, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays out going forward. I think there's
Oh, sorry, Michael. Let me ask you
this.
There's
nothing. Ask me away.
Isn't it about the plays or where the drilling comes in? Because it's a lot cheaper to drill a well in the Haynesville than it is in other areas. I mean, it just depends on where it is. So the price for continuing to build your wells and everything else in the Haynesville is cheaper than in other areas, and they have the takeaway. So do you think the folks in that area and in those single play companies would be better off?
No, I think if you're a primary gas producer, you're just getting slammed right now. I think if you're,
Okay.
you know, I've been running gas well economics all day today, Stu. Trust me, and
Okay.
it's hard to slice. It's hard to slice. $3, 270 strip. You know, it's not. It is what it is. Like there's only
Okay.
wells aren't unlimited. You're not going to go out and say, you know, you can't change the EUR of a well. So if you have a forecasted well at 6
Right.
BCF, well, just because prices drop doesn't mean you can just increase the reserves to 8 BCF to make up for the drop in price. Nope. You just deal with the loss in value. So again, this is the industry we've all chosen to be in. So I don't necessarily think it's that. I think more specifically, it's 2-mile laterals are costing $10-12 million per well.
Ooh.
So
yeah,
you know, you've gone out and drilled a bunch of nat gas wells, you know, at $10 million a pop.
But in the Haynesville, you don't have to do those.
Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. They're still expensive. What you're talking about is takeaway capacity, and I agree with you. You're probably better off in off in East Texas from a takeaway standpoint. West Texas is always tight, even though there is some takeaway capacity. Now you're subjecting yourself to Waha, which is a whole different ball game. Up in the Northeast, they're in the Appalachia area. I mean, they still do have. They definitely do have takeaway issues, but they're really dominated by one big player. So EQT can kind of manage their asset base as they see fit. So I think it's more to do with it's just you kind of got to sit tight and ride this thing through. I think, in my opinion, the answer is not to get jumpy and do something irrational. I mean, prices will rebound at some point. Now, the issue is we're in winter at $2.70. What happens when we get to, the summer? If this trend continues, what are you going to see? $1.50 gas? I don't know. It's limbo. How low can you go? I don't know. I don't necessarily think making rapid decisions is necessarily smart, but I do think there are going to be some companies that have an interesting decision to make whether or not, I wonder if we're going to see a huge spike of duct gas wells. That would be my prediction. If there's one prediction I would give, it's that on the EIA productivity report, let's say in March, February time, or February, March time, we're going to see a big increase in the number of ducts. And I think most of them we can attribute to gas. If you were to map them, I bet the majority of them would be gas wells that were drilled, say, starting in, December, drilled at $4 gas, $6 gas. And now the decision to complete is coming basically now. Everyone's running strip and being like, and, so could be interesting. Could turn out for somebody to come up and buy all these ducts and make a little bit of money off. Could be an interesting strategy. Could be an interesting strategy. But we don't give financial advice.
No, we don't. Good ones, because those were some good points. Sorry.
I know I'm a genius, Stu. I know I'm a genius. You don't have to tell me. Last thing before we let these people go and start a duck scam. NCAP and Double Eagle, our favorite private oil and gas company, probably one of the larger private oil and gas companies, Double Eagle Permian. As you know, they had a $1.7 billion equity commitment from multiple private equity partners. They 2 days ago, and I can't believe I missed this, announced an additional $600 million in capital commitments from NCAP, and that brings their total capital commitments up to $2.3 billion. They also were able to establish a reserve-based loan through JP Morgan and a couple other things to give you guys ideas. Double Eagles, Cody Campbell and John Sellers, both of who are the COOs. They're also Texas Tech football graduates, so we won't hold that against them. As you remember, they were the creators of Double Point Energy, which was sold for $6.4 billion to Pioneer Natural Resources in 2021. So these guys have a pretty big bag. They've also, I will say this. One of the reasons I'm a Double Eagle fan is these guys put most of their net worth into this new company. So They're one of the larger it's one of the things, in the efficiency of the market, private oil and gas companies management aligns much more with investors than your public company. Public company, I mean, these CEOs and directors of engineering, they have zero stake in the company. They're just cogging a wheel. Whereas, obviously Double Eagle is a big company, but Cody Campbell, John, their net worth is on the line. And their net worth is on the line on this one. So good for them. It does seem kind of funny as oil and gas prices tumble, you're establishing a reserve-based loan. Sometimes not a bad thing, though. You get your RBL at a very low rate initially. Like if you can get your first RBL at a lower price tag, then if your prices continue to rise, even the declines of your oil and gas wells will be offset by the increase in pricing. So it can be a smart move. I'd be interested to see what type of hedging they had to do in order to secure this RBL. It'd be interesting to see how much of this is hedged gas and oil versus unhedged. I would bet there's a decent amount of this book hedged. Well, think about it. You're a bank right now. You're a bank right now. I'm not letting anybody come in unhedged. Why would you do that? No. I'm surprised there are RBLs out there that are unhedged. Think about it. So not to get too deep, congrats to NCAP and Double Eagle. If you guys need to spend money on marketing, please call us. You're now flush with cash. We can help. Your website sucks, so we'll help you. Stu, well, I won't. You won't get my help. Trust me.
No. But come on the podcast. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, this was the group. I'm 99% sure this was the group that, remember in 2020 when they were like the one rig running and Trump went out to visit them. I'm pretty sure it was a Double Point and Cody Campbell's. I'm pretty sure it was that rig or this cruise rig.
Yeah.
99% sure.
I think so. It rings a bell, but then again, I'm old.
Old and ugly. What are you going to be able to do?
You're the better looking of the two of us here. So, all right.
When you look like John Fetterman, I mean, it's not hard to. You really are pulling your Fetterman today.
I am, but I need my Granholm so I could do the Fettergram.
The Fettergram. You got anything else for people today?
Nah, we're gonna have a great day.
Awesome. Well, with that, guys, we'll let you get out of here, get back to work, start your day. Thank you for checking us out. World's greatest energy news podcast. For Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We'll see you tomorrow.